you doing, folks? Sippy Rock here. Another episode of On the Bench. Right now what we're doing is transferring some wine over to another container, and as soon as I get done with that, I thought I'd string up, or rather restring, my Martin guitar, and I thought some of y'all might be interested in seeing how I do that. I've got a couple different ways I can do it. So if that's something you're interested in, stick around. I'll show you how I string up a Martin guitar. Sippy Rock here, folks. I'm going to show you guys today a couple different ways to string up this guitar. But first I want to get this out of the way. The products I use because I enjoy them. I am not sponsored in any way. I'm not making any money off this. I'm just telling you this because I like you. You're probably going to want to get you one of these pins. You don't necessarily have to have one, but it's a good way to pull the pins out. D'Addario. That's my favorite string. Make sure you buy them in the USA from some reputable company. Sometimes they do copy these in China. I do a fair amount of repair work here on my bench every year, and I have a lot of people ask me how I string my guitars. And matter of fact, I'd say a good portion of the work that I do here, or at least half of it, is just restringing guitars for people, doing mild setup work. I do some electronics and some pickup swaps and all kinds of things like that, but that's mostly what I do. I'd like to show you this guitar first. I bought this Martin about a year ago, and I'm not going to mention the name of the company I got it from. You probably know who they are and have probably purchased things from them in the past. I just don't want them to have any free advertisement. The guitar is made basically out of leftover wood, I would think. It's a bunch of laminates that are pressed together with high heat. It's a marvelous guitar. I've probably played, I don't know, 15 or 20 shows with it. The top is solid spruce. The fretboard is, I would have to look that up. I can't remember, but it's also made out of man-made materials. And you can see it's pretty dirty. They suggest, they meaning Martin, suggests that you clean it with soap and water and don't use, normally I would condition it with some of this lemon oil. I've had several projects down here, so the bench is a mess. Here's the tools I'm going to use. I've got this pin puller I got from Amazon. I got this this winder that I've had for 30 years, and then I got a cutter. This mat's kind of nice to have. If you don't have one of these mats, you can just take a towel and you can check it out on YouTube. Several people have videos of how they make a neck rest and how they do this. If this were an electric guitar, I'd probably take all the strings off at one time. But since it's not, I like to just change one at a time. This is an acoustic electric, and under, you got to watch this. This is how you'll get yourself cut. Underneath the bridge here, there's a piezo pickup, and if you take all this off at one time, this could come off. And if you've never changed strings on a guitar before, and even if you have, you don't want this piezo getting loose, because if you don't get that in there just right, you could have a big problem on your hands. And then a lot of times I'll get a cloth here and put down so I don't really worry about my finish a whole lot, but if it was your finish, I would. I usually take this pin and stick it on the ball like this, I'll put the G string here. I'll get the hole around 6 o'clock. Get my camera adjusted here. Pretty high-tech stuff here from Sippy Rock, you guys. And you know, while you're at it, it's always a good thing when you get one of these off to make sure that these are kind of tight. Don't get them too tight, but just make sure they're snug. Now, here's something that I do quite a bit. I'll get some graphite. Now, especially if I got a guitar with a vibrato or a whammy bar, I'll get this graphite. And then I'll put just a little, just a little bit in there. If you don't want to use graphite, if you don't want to do that, you can also get a pencil, like a number 2 pencil, and put that in there. And that'll actually lubricate that nut a little bit. I don't do a whole heck of a lot of bends on this guitar, so I don't have to worry about that string sliding in and out of this nut. But if I did, I definitely on my electric guitar with the whammy bar, I would put some graphite in there, and then that way, as this string is moving back and forth through here, it's going to let it slip and not get stuck. Here's the first way I'm going to do it. By the way, before I do anything, I'm going to wipe my fretboard down, so give me a second here. Yeah, you can see that's pretty dirty here, and you can see where I've already put some wear in this fretboard. I'll pull that through tight, okay, and then I'll take about, maybe 3 fingers down here around the 12th fret, a little bit more, and that's all you're going to need. On this first wrap, or this first way to do it, I take it and go from the outside and over the top, like this. Okay. Yeah, it's kind of hard. You may have to give yourself just a little bit more string to get that over it. Or have stronger hands than me. And then pull it tight. Now the theory behind this is when I turn this, see how that first one's going underneath? I hope you can see that. That's going to lock that in there. I'll just pull it up straight here. That's going to lock that in. Now that string cannot slip. Now here's the critical thing on strings. When you wrap this, you want these wraps, one of them wrapping on top of the other one. You don't want them going over each other like that. Because if they do, then when you turn them up and down to tune them, they're going to slip. It's going to be hard to keep it in tune. After I get it kind of close, and you want to hold this pin down here with your thumb as you're turning it some, because if you don't, that thing will pop up on you. I get it kind of close, and I'll just hold it on the 12th fret, and then here on the 7th, and down here on 3rd, and pull a little bit, pull up here a little bit. Do that a couple times, and that'll kind of pre-tighten my string. That's the first method. Now I'm not going to clip any of these until I get completely done with the job. Like I was saying, if you ever seen in my On the Bench videos, you can't string a guitar, or I can't, without getting cut. This neck one is very simple, and it's almost the same thing as the last one you did. By the way, this one here I'm going to start it around, 5 o'clock. And I'm going to take this and take it around this way, okay, and take it over the top like that. Did you see that? I went underneath the string and then back over the top. And now when I turn that, see how it's going to pull against that? And then just go under, once again, you want to go underneath that first wrap. Okay, try to keep that string tight. I know it's hard to do everything at once, and I've actually had Molly come down here and help me. Molly, hold this. It's really fun when you got a Bigsby. You got to have 4 hands to string a Bigsby. And again, I'm going to do about the same thing with the tightening. You don't have to be precise. Kind of like that. One thing that I did fail to mention here, and it's probably one of the most important things. Grab you some sort of container, leftover dish, container, or whatever, and keep your parts in there when you're working. That way, and if you change some strings, it'll happen to you. That way you won't get down the line and go, what happened to my screws? What happened to my bridge pin? What happened to this? That's the best way to do it, folks. Okay, folks, I've showed you two fancy ways to do this. Now I'm going to show you the not fancy way to do it. And I do this quite a bit. I turn that thing and just make sure that it doesn't. See? Just go from the top down, wind it right around, underneath, 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 underneath. Try to keep a little tension on it so it won't do anything hokey on you. That, folks, will hold the string, in my experience, as well as anything else does. If you don't have a whammy bar, or you're not doing some sort of strange bends or things like that, if you're just sitting around playing chords like I do, little jazz, little blues, little country, that's going to hold it just fine. Folks, don't forget, clean your guitar as you go along. Anytime that you're doing any work on your guitar, I mean when you're changing your strings or whatever, when you get done, that's a good time to wipe it down, look it over for problems, and to clean it up really good too. Once again, I don't use any polish or anything. I'll get me an old, I use these microfiber cloths that my wife gets me, and then I'll just spit on them and then wipe them down. You're not going to find really, you know, a better cleaner than that. I don't support any kind of guitar polish. Of course, totally unnecessary, but if you can afford one, a pitch pipe is a great way to find that first note. Then from there, let's get this thing tuned up. Then after you've got it tuned up and you play it for a little while, I go ahead and bend all these things up straight and then get, you know, about as close to it as you can. Don't get so close that you're cutting the next string, which I've done before. Now, why wait until it's tuned all the way up? Well, when these strings aren't tuned all the way up, if you clip them off short and then tune them up and they pull at all, and I've had that happen before, it's possible for them to pull through. I don't really use, this is actually for a bass guitar, I only use it for the clipper. Let's take a look at those now, see what they look like. Try to get this down here close enough so you can see. I don't want more than 2 or 3 wraps on it. On this G string I might have come up a little short. 2 or 3 wraps is really all I want. When I get over to the skinnier strings, I may take a few more wraps. Looks like a 2 or 3 is about all I got on any of them. But you can see how, especially on this G, on the E string, how that just locks in. You can see real good how that worked. And then on the next one I did, you see how it looks pretty much the same way? Let's tune her up one more time and then let's play some guitar. Now folks, these are the kind of videos that interest you, and if you like this kind of content, I'd sure appreciate it if you'd give me a thumbs up and hit my subscribe button. There's going to be a lot of different videos out there. We'll do some on the bench, we'll do some jamming at Sippy's, and you know, probably some of the Moultrie County Jamboree. So, it's great seeing y'all. Don't be afraid to go out and put some strings on your guitar. I'm gonna get me a catfish. Gonna get me a catfish. I'm gonna get me a catfish by the old riverbank.